The young and the restless spoilers Kane Ashby had approached the hack with meticulous planning, confident in his ability to manipulate both technology and talent to achieve his goal. He knew the city's corporations, their weaknesses, and the ambitions that propelled each executive forward. More importantly, he knew Phyllis Summers, a woman of undeniable skill and resourcefulness, whose talents in digital infiltration were matched only by her desire to prove herself. Kane had relied on her expertise to access the inner workings of Jabot, Newman Enterprises, and Chancellor Industries, expecting that the information she retrieved could become leverage in his bid to secure influence across the city's most powerful empires. He envisioned a precise, clean operation. Phyllis would breach the servers, gather strategic data, and Kane would exploit it to tilt the balance of power in his favor. It seemed foolproof, or at least, it should have been. But Y&R's spoilers revealed that no plan survives contact with reality, and Kane's meticulously crafted strategy unraveled almost immediately. Phyllis, though exceptionally skilled, could not escape the inevitabilities of human oversight and digital traceability. She accessed the systems with precision, navigating through firewalls and encrypted gateways with ease, but every keystroke left an echo, every login a breadcrumb, every alteration a potential alarm. Kane had underestimated the vigilance of those protecting the corporate fortresses of Genoa City, and Phyllis had, unknowingly, stepped into a storm she was not fully prepared to weather. The failure became evident as Victor Newman, ever vigilant and fiercely protective of his empire, detected the intrusion. His instincts were impeccable. Even without waiting for a full report, he knew that a breach had occurred. The signs were subtle yet undeniable. Unusual traffic in the server logs, access attempts outside standard hours, and minor inconsistencies in internal systems. Victor's mind raced with possibilities. Who could have orchestrated this? How deep did the intrusion go? And most importantly, who within his own circle, or Kane's, could have been so bold, so reckless, as to attempt such a move? Jack Abbott's experience mirrored Victor's urgency. Alerts from Jabot's IT team had reached him moments after anomalies were first detected. He was immediately apprised of the potential threat. Someone had infiltrated their systems, and the ramifications could be devastating if the attack succeeded. Jack's mind toggled between suspicion and strategy, calculating the likelihood of sabotage, corporate espionage, or personal vendettas. With every moment that passed, the tension in the boardrooms and offices of the Abbott family tightened like a noose, reminding everyone that in Genoa City, no action existed in isolation. Phyllis herself felt the weight of the operation as it began to falter. She had accepted Kane's request not merely for the financial gain it promised, but for the opportunity to affirm her own worth, to prove that she could operate at the highest level of cunning and precision. She had imagined herself as a linchpin in a grand design, a vital force whose talents would command recognition and respect. Yet the reality was humbling. She realized that even the most brilliant execution could fail when opposed by equally sharp minds, and that ambition alone could not guarantee success. Every alert, every detection, reminded her that Kane's plan had always carried inherent risks, risks that she now faced squarely, exposed to the scrutiny of men who would tolerate no mistakes. Kane, upon learning of the failure, experienced a cold, sinking realization. His confidence, built on careful calculation and trust in Phyllis's skill, now collided with the stark truth of human unpredictability. The breach had been discovered, and with discovery came consequence. He had sought power and leverage. Instead, he now confronted exposure and the intricate, intertwined reactions of Victor and Jack. Each would respond with strategy and force, both vigilant and unforgiving, ensuring that the ramifications of the failed hack would reverberate far beyond the immediate failure of technology. Victor's response was immediate and precise. He convened his inner circle, directing his IT specialists to identify every trace of the intrusion, secure vulnerabilities, and track the source with relentless scrutiny. Every log, every anomaly, every digital footprint became a thread to follow, a puzzle to solve. For Victor, the breach was not just a technical problem, it was a challenge to his authority, a potential threat to the stability of his empire, and a test of his ability to anticipate betrayal, whether from outside forces or from those who had once been allies. Jack, for his part, marshaled the resources of Jabot's IT division with equal intensity. He was determined not only to respond to the attack but to understand its origin, its method, and its potential implications. The Abbott family's interests were at stake, and Jack could not tolerate ambiguity. The knowledge that Cain Ashby had orchestrated the request, however indirectly through Phyllis, added layers of complexity. Cain's presence in Genoa City had already stirred tensions, and this digital failure intensified the scrutiny on him, marking him as a figure whose actions could no longer go unnoticed or unchecked. Meanwhile, Phyllis processed the fallout in quiet isolation. She understood the stakes, her reputation, her competence, and even her own safety in certain social and corporate circles were now intertwined with a plan that had collapsed. The failure forced introspection, a recognition of limits and vulnerabilities, and perhaps a reconsideration of her alignment with Cain. Could she continue to serve him in future operations, or had this failure permanently shifted the balance of trust? Questions lingered, but answers were elusive in the chaotic swirl of corporate maneuvering, emotional entanglement, and personal ambition that defined Genoa City. As the dust settled on the initial failure, the broader implications became evident. Cain's plan had not only failed, it had drawn attention, exposed intentions, and initiated a chain reaction of vigilance, suspicion, and strategy across the city's major power players. Every move from this point forward would be weighed against the memory of the breach, every alliance tested, every plan measured for risk. Cain had entered a delicate web of influence and danger, one in which one misstep could have cascading consequences, affecting relationships, corporate strategies, and personal loyalties alike. In the midst of this unfolding drama, the city itself seemed to hold its breath. Genoa City, always a nexus of ambition, passion, and rivalry, now observed a delicate tension, where technological failure collided with human intrigue. Cain's ambitions, Phyllis's skills, Victor's vigilance, and Jack's determination formed the axes of an unfolding narrative in which power, trust, and deception would shape not only corporate outcomes but also the personal lives of everyone involved. One thing was certain, in Genoa City, failure was never final, but it was always consequential. And Cain Ashby, navigating the fallout of his own miscalculations, would have to reckon with every consequence, every threat, and every opportunity that emerged from the shadow of a plan gone awry. Cain Ashby found himself at the center of a storm he could neither predict nor control, aware that every plan, every calculation, and every sense of control could collapse in an instant. The hacking scheme had failed spectacularly, but the fallout was spreading at a frightening pace. Jack Abbott and Victor Newman, both masters of strategy and intuition, immediately identified the hacker. Every data trail, every server log, every flicker of unauthorized access was analyzed, and within hours, the culprit was clear. Phyllis Summers. It did not take long for them to realize she was the one behind the screen. Both Jack and Victor knew Phyllis's extraordinary skill set, understanding that she could manipulate systems with precision and intelligence few could match. In this case, nothing remained hidden, and the evidence was irrefutable. Word reached the IT departments of all three companies, and inevitably, law enforcement would soon be involved, preparing for an arrest that had fans on the edge of their seats. The traces of the hack led directly to Phyllis, like an unbreakable thread pulling her fate into view. She had logged into a major corporate server from her own computer, leaving digital fingerprints that even the most skilled cyber specialists could not ignore. Jack and Victor, though operating from different agendas, both recognized the reality. Phyllis was a formidable hacker, capable and determined. They understood Cain as well, a man of cunning intelligence, but he had never demonstrated the ability to infiltrate the complex systems of a corporation. Phyllis, with her technical mastery and ambition, had taken the perfect opportunity, and now all eyes were on her. When law enforcement arrived, arresting Phyllis, tension rippled through Genoa City. Onlookers, employees, and even those watching from afar felt the weight of the moment. Phyllis's expression betrayed a mixture of determination and unease. She could only wonder how Kane would respond. Would he be furious, disappointed, or perhaps, in some unexpected way, protective, as he had been in previous dangerous situations? Kane, observing from a distance, maintained a calm facade, feigning ignorance. He acted shocked, bewildered by the rapid developments that Victor and Jack were quick to exploit. To the public, Kane appeared to be an unwitting participant, dragged into chaos through no fault of his own. Only he knew the truth: Phyllis had acted without his instruction. He had never requested anyone to breach any system, let alone orchestrate such a brazen attack. Kane had always believed in winning through intellect and strategy, not through clandestine sabotage. Now, the illusion of innocence became his shield. Chancellor Industries, Jabot, and Newman Enterprises suddenly became the epicenter of a corporate maelstrom. Each company scrambled to assess the damage, with Jack and Victor leading security measures and tracing every digital footprint. Every email, every access log, every command entered into the system was scrutinized, and every discovery gave rise to new theories. Relationships between the companies tightened with tension because everyone knew that the secrets revealed, or hidden, could tip the balance of power. A pressing question lingered over Genoa City: would Phyllis face the full force of the law, or would a twist save her from legal consequences? Fans were holding their breath, watching Victor's cold calculation, Jack's wary vigilance, the law enforcement steps, and Kane's subtle, calculating reactions. It was as though every chess piece had been set on a board where each move carried profound implications, and every misstep could be catastrophic. Meanwhile, Kane remained outwardly composed, though inwardly he was meticulously plotting his next moves. He needed to protect Phyllis, at least to preserve his own image, and he had to prepare for any eventuality. Victor could strike directly, Jack could demand legal intervention. And the secrets of Kane's corporate strategy, if exposed, could ruin him instantly. Every decision now required precision, for even the smallest miscalculation could cost him control in a city where power, loyalty, and ambition constantly collided. As the weeks progressed, tensions escalated further. Kane, ever the strategist, realized that his position in Genoa City was precarious. The failed hack was only the beginning. Victor Newman's relentless pursuit of control, Jack Abbott's vigilance, and Phyllis's own complex loyalties meant that Kane was navigating a minefield where one wrong move could destroy everything he had built. And yet, amid the corporate chaos and the looming threat of betrayal, Kane remained calculated, determined to maintain his advantage while keeping his true intentions hidden. Every fan watching knew that this story was far from over. Phyllis's arrest, the interplay between Victor and Jack, Kane's cunning responses, all were part of a much larger game. Who would control the outcome, and who would be forced to react? Kane's intellect and Phyllis's skills had created a perfect storm of intrigue, and the consequences would ripple through Genoa City in ways no one could fully anticipate. Every glance, every conversation, every secret revealed was a move in a high-stakes game of power, manipulation, and survival, one that could redefine the relationships and fortunes of all involved. And as the city braced for the next chapter, one truth was undeniable. In Genoa City, loyalty was fragile, ambition was dangerous, and even the smartest could be caught in a web of consequences they had never fully imagined. Kane Ashby, with his mind as sharp as ever, had to navigate this chaos carefully, for the next few moves would determine who would triumph and who would fall.